this song, the Om song, is put to words, is Master's poem put to words, or put to music. And the words reflect the different sounds in the chakras. And especially at the end of the song, the cosmic motor Om resounds everywhere. Whence home this soundless roar doth come, when drowseth Matter's dreary drum, on shores of bliss booming breaks, all earth, all heaven, all body shakes. The bumblebee now hums along, baby Om doth softly sing his song. From Krishna's flute the call is sweet. 'Tis time the watery God to meet. Cords bound to flesh are broken all. Vibrations burst and meteors fall. The hustling heart, the boasting breath, no more shall cause the yogi's death. The God of fire with fervor sings, Om, Om, his joyous harp now rings. Prana, God with power sounds, the wondrous bell the soul resounds. All nature lies in darkness soft, the star divine is seen aloft. Subconscious dreams have gone to bed, 'tis then that one doth hear Om's tread. Oh, upward climb the living tree, hark to the cosmic symphony. From home, the soundless roar from home, the call for light over dark to roam. From home, the music of the spheres, from home, the midst of nature's tears, all things of earth and heaven declare, Om, Om, resounding everywhere. From Om, the music of the spheres, from Om, the mist of nature's tears, all things of earth and heaven declare, Om, Om, resounding everywhere.
Though he lived on earth, is perceived by the eye of wisdom as conscious, even in human form, of his true reality in heavenly spheres. The way to know God is to live in godly consciousness, and not to bewail our imperfection and our distance from God. Jesus said, "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." And the Bhagavad Gita states, "Seekers of union with the Lord find him dwelling in their own hearts. But those who, lacking in wisdom, seek him with impure motives, cannot perceive him however much they struggle to do so." If you want to know God, Paramahansa Yogananda said, live in the thought that you have him already. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
Good morning. I'd like to read from Whispers from Eternity by Paramahansa Yogananda. I come to thee with the song of my smiles. Whatever treasures have lain in the secrecy of my soul, I bring eagerly to thee. I bring thee all the honey from the hive of my heart. All that was ever mine is now thine alone. The sunlight of this world shining upon my eager hopes in brief fickle fulfillments, burn me repeatedly with dissatisfaction. Now I quench my thirst forever in thy radiant waters. The taper of my aspiration towards happiness will burst aflame with thy coming into a conflagration of bliss. In thy vast enchanting sea of light, I will swim joyfully forever. In the reading, Swami Kriyananda talked about how we can identify ourselves with present realities, and it's really a bad mistake to do that. There's a beautiful book that I've been reading called Freedom's Daughters, and it's about the civil rights movement. And it was how so often it was really the women that led that movement. And there was a story of some school children in Macomb, Illinois, one of the most racial areas in the whole South in terms of violent and so anyway, these school children, they wanted to have freedom. And so they decided that they would march on City Hall. And they called the president or the principal of the school, and they said that one of the students was being arrested somewhere else, and so the principal rushed off, and so then they organized an assembly, and it was the children standing up there instead of the principal, and they said, we want to go to City Hall, and so they did, and the teachers, they were trying to hold the teachers back in the door, and they were wiggling through their legs and going to their arms, and they went there, and it was, some as young as 10, 11, 12 went there to demand their rights. And there was one 14-year-old girl named Jacqueline Bird, and she was walking with some friends. And they were so excited about the possibilities of a new life, and they knew that they were going in uncharted territory. And they'd be going to jail and everything else. And they started to talk about what they would like to do when they grow up. And she said, well, I would like to, she had a vague idea, I would like to head a company or something. And then another of her friends said, I would like to be a doctor. And another one said, I would like to own my own business. And they had two friends that were walking along with them, and they were just shaking their head and sort of snorting in laughter. And they said, you can't be all those things. Look at what our life is like. Y'all don't stand a chance. When you're older, you're going to be fat, old, and housewives. Well, Jacqueline said, reflecting 30 years later, that the woman that wanted to be a doctor became a pediatrician in California. The woman that wanted to run a company was one of the top executives of Honeywell. And then Jacqueline Bird was the city administrator for the Macomb city, and where she had an office and looked out through her French windows, and she could see the City Hall steps where, as children, when they walked up, they would be arrested and taken to jail, and now she was managing the whole city. Well, her two friends, she said, they became old, fat, and housewives. And we all know what Buddha said is, as we think, shall we become. And And so we have to just, just remember the whole, that's what the whole spiritual life is, isn't it? It's smriti, remembering who we truly are and what we aren't. We recently had a Mahasamadhi celebration, a constant exit of a great master for our Guru Paramahansa Yogananda. And I wasn't there that night. I had a serious infection and had such a high fever that I had real chills and shivering so much. I was in a down coat and my hat, and I was completely under my comforter, and I couldn't get warm. And it was a challenge, and I was calling Swami's name just to try to tune to his consciousness, and just saying it out loud, Swami, and then I just started chuckling to myself because I said, "This is ridiculous. This isn't real, is it?" And I can't say the pain went away, but what happened was that I got rid of the thought that this shouldn't be happening. It's not that big a deal, and these things go. And Paramahansa Yogananda said that God is the greatest magician. He makes us think that what isn't real is real, because this whole physical world looks solid, but it's just vibration. And so the trick is to be able to just disassociate ourselves as much as we can and use mental strength. There's so many people that we know in the community that have been just great champions of that. And Swami over and over again tells us stories about how we can do that. Paramahansa Yogananda said that we can reduce emotional and physical pain by 10 times if we just disassociate ourselves from what's happening. Of course, if we can do that in deep meditation, it's more than 10 times. But that's the way to freedom. Master said that we wear our body like a dress, and all our problems come in identifying with the dress that we're wearing. Sri Teshwar was talking about how the soul is invisible, and you can't see the soul, but we have these bodies, and the reason why we have these bodies, we have a physical body, because we have physical desires, and we all have an astral body, and it's because we have astral desires, and as long as the soul is encased by these bodies, it can't merge once again in the sea of spirit. Yogananda was saying that before we come onto this earth, we're ghosts. And when we die, we're ghosts. And every time we go to sleep, we're ghosts. And he said, there's ghosts all around you right now, but they can't see me. I don't let them see me. He was talking about people on the astral world. That's because Yogananda he was invisible. He didn't have a causal body, an astral body, or a physical body. I mean, he manifests in one so that we can relate to him and he can help us, but he was just totally free. And we've come from the light, from Om. I was just reading where Swami said that God is the creator, pours the vibration of Om in the Brahmanardi channel, the centermost channel of the spine, and then it just manifests our three bodies. And so we've come from all these realities. That's who we are. And we're just remember that this is where we've come from. This is who we are. And we're just a matter of coming home. Another thing Swami in the reading has talked about is not identifying with our weaknesses or our mistakes. And psychologists have said that we might have 150 to 300 thoughts a minute. And not all of these thoughts are positive. Some of them are self-critical. And I didn't do that right. My hair doesn't look that good today. or whatever it is. And we're just criticizing ourselves. And you can one psychologist said it's up to 45,000 to 51,000 thoughts a day. And that's a heck of a lot of negativity that could be floating through our minds. And so it's just so important, isn't it, to fill our minds with a real strong positive vibration. And this is why we do japa. This is why we chant. a phrase over and over again to break that momentum, but also to call to God and say, it's you I'm interested in. I'm not interested in anything else. And I've played in your dream long enough. I just want you. And to be able to just create and break that momentum. Yogananda was very, very strong about negativity, of just not wanting anyone to just have any negative thought, and just the slightest. He corrected Swami Kriyananda when he was a young monk with him. He said that Swami wasn't a negative person, but he just nipped it in the bud in the new path. Swami tells about how Master asked him how he's doing, and he had a bad cold or flu, and Swami goes, and he goes, that's good, Swami, or Walter, he called him, and just nipped it in the bud, just not to go there. When I was in college, and then shortly after, I saw the power of negativity in a friend of mine. And his name, everybody called him the Buddha, because he loved to go up on the mountain and play his flute all day on the mountain. He lived a pretty free and easy existence. And then during the summer, he would work at a fire lookout station. Well, there was this radio announcer who got his start in Sacramento. You may have heard his name. His name is Rush Limbaugh. And he's a conservative talk show host, and he's, I think he really illustrates the carping spirit. And anyway, he had his program in Sacramento, and my friend, whose English name was Dave, used the moniker Chico Dave, and he would call Rush Limbaugh's call-in radio program. And he'd say something just outrageously liberal, just to rile everybody up. And he just really loved calling in and getting his 2 cents worth in. And Rush just came to really love whenever Chico Dave would call, because he was guaranteed of an hour of calls from conservative people trying to refute anything that Chico Dave said. And so this went on for some time. But then, unfortunately, my friend Dave, he lost his job with affirmative action, where they had to hire minority people. And he started listening to Rush Limbaugh and his conservative stance. And he became a disciple of Rush Limbaugh. And they don't call them disciples in his tradition. They call them ditto heads, I think. But one day, Rush Limbaugh came to Chico and was speaking, and he was getting into his limousine. And my friend Dave said, Rush! And Rush Limbaugh recognized his name and said, recognized his voice, and he said, you're Chico Dave! And invited him into the limousine, and they rode around in Chico talking about conservative topics, I think. And so we really do have to watch ourselves. You know, we don't want to become disciples of the wrong tradition, but really the wrong reality. And it's whatever you spend time with, you take on its consciousness. And so, although it's a fun story, it's a kind of dramatic story, it's a very telling story about wherever we put our mind. And we think that we could be right about something, and we probably are right. But if we go into its reality and judgmental, we take on that, and it really weakens us. I was talking about how we're encased in different bodies, and Paramahansa Yogananda used the image of compressed air that is so dramatic. He talks about how you can get 1 million cubic feet of air, and you can compress it into 1 cubic foot of air. And he said that it's the same way that cosmic consciousness is compressed into ego consciousness. And when the soul is identified with the body, then that means our experience of cosmic consciousness is limited to a very, very tiny portion of matter. But once that air breaks the container of the body, it just spreads out to fill the space all around it. And that's what happens with our consciousness. Paramahansa Yogananda said that if we want to know God, to feel His presence through all space. And this is our reality because we're children of God. And this is the experience that happens in deep meditation. And this is why meditation is so important. We can believe that we're a child of God. And when I created this website that taught meditation. It was a visualization. It was called The Gift of Inner Peace. And I was looking at all the other things that were like that on the web. And it was all on that God loves you. That God loves you. And it's a very encouraging message to know, because that's not always the thought that we have. But somebody said to me, but this is, the gift of inner peace is different. It's, how to know God, learn meditation so that you can experience God. The whole path of Kriya Yoga, Yogananda said, changes our identification from the body to the spine, where he said that's where our heaven is. And so we withdraw that energy, and it's not mere belief anymore. And faith is experience. We just know. And this is why meditation is so important. But we should meditate believing that these are the realities we're trying to get in touch with. I love Swami Kriyananda was talking about how we can overcome strain in meditation by thinking that we aren't reaching for these higher states of consciousness. I wanted to get them right, and so I wrote them down here. He said we should think rather, cosmic vibration is reaffirming through me its own reality. Cosmic love through me is yearning for God's love. Cosmic joy through me is rejoicing in our infinite beloved. And so we're just the love of God, the light of God, the great holy sound of God is all just reaffirming itself in ourselves as we meditate. We grow spiritually by going from the particular to the universal. And I was thinking about that, when our sun is shining, we can't see the stars, can we? It's only when the sun gets on the other side of the earth and we have distance from it, can we see all the stars in the heavens. And so we have to withdraw. The ego draws everything to itself, and so its experience of life is just very, very small. But when we break out of that, as Yogananda said, as he was walking with Swami Kriyananda when Swami was a young monk with him, Yogananda was having trouble walking. And Yogananda said, I'm having trouble because I'm in all bodies and I'm forgetting to move this one. And it's that experience. There's a beautiful image with Om. Saints say that the reason little babies, they smile so blissfully is that's because they're listening to Om. And human mothers, they'll sing a lullaby to their own child. But the Divine Mother, she sings her lullaby of love to all creation. And this is why great saints say to meditate on Om, that it can be meditate on light, expansion, inequality of God, and be a great giver of peace to the world, because we've withdrawn ourselves from form to the essence behind all forms. And in resonating with that, we can help uplift other people, because we're at really the core of our essence. Sri Yukteswar, Yogananda's guru, was once asked by Yogananda, it was in Puri in India with the ashram there, they were going to have a religious celebration. And it was the summertime, and it was very, very hot, and they'd be walking in the streets and in the sand. And Yogananda said to Yukteswar, how can we hold the procession? It's so hot, our feet will be burned. And Yukteswar said, don't worry about it. God has told me that it'll be cool. And so they started out on the procession, and there was a little cloud that followed the procession. And then after a while, it rained on everybody, and it kept the streets cool and the sand cool, and it just followed them throughout the whole procession, and then they came back. And I wanted to get these words right, so I copied them, what Sri Yukteswar said afterwards, because we are children of light, and sometimes we perhaps may forget that. And Yogananda himself said that delusion is very strong, and he would argue with God, that why did you make it so difficult? But this is what Sri Yukteswar said about God's love for each one of us. You see how God feels for us? The Lord responds to all and works for all. Just as he sent rain at my plea, so he fulfills any sincere desire of the devotee. Seldom do men realize how often God heeds their prayers. He is not partial to a few, but listens to everyone who approaches him trustingly. His children should have implicit faith in the loving kindness of their omnipresent Father. Yogananda said that when we cry to God, that he will release us into his infinite love, in his infinite space and joy. But we need to ask God for that blessing. And every time we meditate, every time we serve joyfully, every time we reach out, and every time we think in a positive way of our higher nature, that prayer is being asked of God. And soon, hopefully for all of us in this life, he'll take us all home into his bliss. Bless you all.
Blessed are the pure in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed who thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, they shall be called the children of God. Bless those reviled for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.